Well, hello everyone and welcome to another very exciting episode here on the MIgardener channel. This is going to be another complete growing guide, and this time it's going to be in our fruit continued series of growing guides on fruit trees. We're going to be talking about pears today. Definitely excited about this one. Pears are an awesome fruit. I cannot get enough of them. They're just so delicious, and since I'm allergic to apples, they're about as close as you can get to an apple, I eat them up like crazy. So one of the things I love about pears is that, you know, while they don't have as many uses as apples do, they're just so fresh, so hydrating, so delicious, and we use them anything from a pear jelly to pear compote. Oh gosh, eat them fresh. Fruit salads, you can't beat it. But pears will produce so much fruit for you. So when you're kind of talking about production, pears are actually up there as some of your highest producing weight per plant of most of your fruit trees. So I love that about it, especially because it's kind of like the more you produce, the more I can eat. So just keep producing, and I won't care. So it's nice that they do produce a lot. One of the things about pear trees I did want to mention right off the bat is they do require a cross-pollination to produce well. So the plant itself could be growing 30-40 feet tall, but if it doesn't have another variety to cross with, it's going to not produce very well, if at all. So oftentimes people, they write to us saying, hey, I've got a pear tree, I've had it in my yard, it's never produced. And I said, well, is it just one pear tree? And they say, yeah, it's just one pear tree. And I'm like, okay, well, there's your problem. So plant a second pear tree and your problems will be solved. So just make sure you have two varieties of pear trees. We have a D'Anjou pear, and this is a summer crisp. So we have two varieties here. That's all you're gonna need, and it's gonna do great. With pears, we're going to talk about the soil type first. As we talk about, when you first transplant, you want to make sure you dig the hole 2.5 times the diameter of the root ball. So 2.5 times, you're going to make sure that the root ball is really nice and wide. Fill that with good organic matter, lots of compost, really well draining soil. You want to make sure that you just promote root growth. With all your deciduous trees that go through winter, you want to make sure that the roots definitely have a good chance, especially the first year that you transplant them, to grow fast and get kind of out of that risk of a freeze that you have very cold winters, because they are certainly prone to dying if they get into too cold of weather. So pear trees definitely can handle the cold. Just, you know, it's better to get them out of that cold zone. Some of your peaches and cherries and things like that, they're really important to get out of that cold, but they can definitely tolerate -18, -20 degrees Fahrenheit, no problem. They're very, very cold hardy. Which does bring me into cold hardiness. So pears you can grow into zone 3, no problem at all, and they do need chill hours, so I recommend no lower in the zone, or I guess no higher in the zone, no further south than zone 8. If you try to grow them in like Southern California or places like that, you're not going to have enough chill hours to make them produce. Pears need around 800 chill hours, so that's how many hours below freezing you're going to have. And that way you're going to have good production, because it kind of just resets the plant, gets it ready to produce for next year. And so that's why places like Michigan, I mean, we can produce a heck of a ton of pears, because we get some real nice long winters, which, you know, kind of stink as a gardener, but also nice as a gardener too, because you're like, hey, I love fruit trees, and I know these fruit trees are going to produce well because we've had a nice long winter. So it's a love-hate thing for sure, but definitely important to have those chill hours. One of the things you can look for is a lower chill hour pear. They do make some pear trees that are, well, I guess they don't make them. There are some pear trees that exist out there that have around 400 chill hours, but that's about as low as I've seen, and there's not many out there. So do your research. There definitely are some options out there for you, but they certainly do need quite a bit of chill hours compared to most plants, most fruit trees out there. So there's that. Now, when it comes to fertilizing, I'm going to talk about this as I talk about with all of our fruit trees. We do not fertilize for the first 3 months. And I say fertilize anything higher than a 200. I put worm castings down and worm tea down to really kind of boost the growth, boost the root development. things like that, give it good microbial activity, but I don't do any fertilizing for the first 3 months. After that, I do come in and I do give them a high nitrogen fertilizer. We use Trifecta Plus here on all of our fruit trees after that waiting period to really kind of kick them into gear, get them going, kind of kick them in the butt a little bit, and get them ready for that long, cold winter, which does bring me to the fall, which in the fall you want to fertilize with a high phosphorus fertilizer. Again, we use Trifecta because it's formulated to use the nitrogen up during the growing season, and then that phosphorus works kind of later in the growing season when it needs it the most. And the plant will kind of be telling itself what it needs as well. So even if you fertilize it with a nitrogen fertilizer, it's not really going to take up a lot of it because it's kind of entering that dormancy period. And so we'll give them that in early October. We'll give them another dosage of Trifecta. We give them just a 1/4 cup around the plant. And that way they can kind of settle in for winter, and it helps to, that phosphorus helps to boost that root development even further, kind of give them one last push into that deeper into the soil to get out of that cold zone there. So that's all of that there is about fertilizing. The next thing is watering. Now with watering, again, I say this with all of our trees because there's really nothing different about it. I will give them water once every day, a gallon a day, for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, I will give them a gallon every other day for 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, so now 5 weeks have passed, after those 2 weeks of a gallon every other day, I will give them a gallon once a week. And that way there's just no stress on the tree. One thing you will find with pears as well as apples, but not as much with apples, I find it's quite rare that it happens, is browning of the leaves. And really hot weather, you'll find that the leaves kind of turn brown and you'll have quite a bit of leaf die off. And that really happens anything above 90 degrees. So they are prone to that, but that's because they like kind of the colder weather, so that they don't do great in hot weather, and you'll find you do have some stress. And giving them that water once a week will definitely help to reduce that stress for sure. And if the tree does get very stressed, to let you know, it'll start dropping leaves, and that's the first sign that you gotta pump the water in. But I typically don't allow my trees to get stressed, because as soon as they are stressed, you've already kind of set the tree back, and any setbacks are not good when you're talking about trees that have to go through, you know, -10, -18 degree weather in our winters. So I just prefer not to let them get stressed. And then the final thing is pruning. So pruning is very, very important with pear trees, because they do grow extremely quick. As you can see, this tree has a bunch of beautiful growth. I mean, this is just a stunning, stunning tree. But there's a but to that. You do want to limit its growth, because they will produce these branches that are really, really long. And I mean, this one here is probably like 3 feet long. It's too long to allow anything on this. So what I will do is I will actually remove all the flowers the first year. This will flower this year, no doubt, it's so healthy. But I'll remove all the flowers, let it really get a nice strong base. I won't do any pruning until the fall when the plant goes dormant. I will cut every branch that's longer than 3 feet in half. So I'll only have a 1.5 foot branch. And what that's going to do in the springtime is going to push more lateral growth, because you just cannot have, and I mean, even one fruit would, I mean, it would bend this thing down to the ground with one fruit. And so, just for good measure, I definitely prune them back, and I make sure that the branches are very stubby and a lot of lateral growth, which can, you know, each branch might be able to hold 1 pair, 2 pairs or so. And then when you multiply that by, you know, 100 or so branches, you can have 200 pairs on a tree, no problem, without any stress to the branches. As is, they're just too wiry, too spindly, and that's just the nature of pears. They just do that so readily. And it looks great, don't get me wrong, but looking great doesn't do anything for fruit production. So I'm gonna go through here, and this top thing, I'm gonna lock this off right at the top, really promote that lateral growth out. But again, that's after this first year. The first year, I'm just gonna take off all the flowers, make sure it doesn't fruit at all. And then I'm going to, once it goes dormant this coming winter, so winter of 2018, I'm going to make sure that I prune off some of these branches that are a little too long and lanky. So that's all there really is to growing pears. They're super easy. Oh, soil pH. I didn't want to talk about soil pH because I know I'll get it in the comments box. Just make sure that the soil is around 6.5. Very, very minutely acidic. But again, that's kind of nitpick. They can be in perfectly balanced pH soil. They're really not picky about the pH as much as other plants are. So, you know, we always give them just a little bit of acidic soil. And that kind of comes with trifecta. There's some sulfur in trifecta that helps to lower that pH just to right around slightly acidic, where most plants prefer. But if you don't, and you just use compost, the compost is going to be a pH of 7, which will be perfectly fine, I promise. You will not have a problem. They're really, really not that picky when it comes to pH. So that's all there is about growing pears. Hopefully you all have enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. And also make sure to check out our other complete growing guides. We have tons of them now. I think we're up to like almost 30 fruits and vegetables. You can check them out at MIgardener.com or on YouTube. We have a playlist for them. But if you want to go over to MIgardener.com, there's a blog, tons of free information, a cool store with 99-cent seeds, all that good stuff as well, and tons of free content. So much free videos and pictures and things that you can learn from. So definitely worth checking out. You can go to the media tab, select growing guides, and you can find this one along with our other 30 or so growing guides that are definitely going to help you grow big or go home. So anyways, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, hoping you all enjoyed, hoping you liked this video. Share it with your friends if you think they'd enjoy it, because I bet they would. And hopefully having a great day. So anyways, get out in the garden, grow some pears. You'll definitely be happy that you did. All right, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. See ya. Bye.